Yeah, buddy! What's happening, YouTube? Eugene here. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're flowing, moving forward, coming with us. So FREDERIC Malle has announced his departure from his own brand, leaving us with acne. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about FREDERIC Malle. It's been something that FREDERIC has inspired me for ever since I've discovered his perfume. So I have always found him and his fragrances very interesting. And I find like the last month of what is happening very interesting, because we don't know a whole lot. You know, FREDERIC left a statement saying he's leaving and wishing Estee Lauder the best of luck with his brand, without really specifying as to why or how or any details, which is fine. I mean, he's not obligated to give us any details or say anything further, which leads me to speculate that there's a whole lot more to this than what's going on, and that we'll ever know. Like, we'll just never know, because it's all very strange. I mean, think about this. Here, FREDERIC spent the last 20 plus years creating and working on his brand, growing it, right? Putting so much love and effort, and here he is just like walking away from his own name, you know, even though he doesn't own it anymore, even though it's like owned by Estee Lauder, he's still walking away from it, which leads me to believe, like, this is all just speculation on my part. Okay, this is nothing than speculation, just my thoughts and conversations that I've had with friends that are very heavily invested in FREDERIC Malle and in the perfume world and that sort of thing. So we're just sharing ideas here. That's all this is. This is speculation. What happened with FREDERIC and Estee Lauder, we might not ever know. And this is, you know, this is part of the community, is us speculating and talking about and getting into it, and, you know, just doing our thing. This is where we engage, and, you know, we get to share what we think is happening. So, and I think, like, when you truly love something, you know, when you are truly invested and happy with something and things are going great, you stick by them, you stay with them, and you continue to pour yourself into whatever this is, whatever it is that you're trying to grow, right? Whatever it is you're trying to grow, you pour yourself into it with love and joy, excitement, and to see where it takes you. But, you know, FREDERIC has decided to leave this, which it is so confusing to me, which makes me believe that he just kind of, like, several things could have happened here. He could have fallen out of love with perfume. He could have just gotten straight up bored with perfume. He's been doing it for so long. His probably is like his lifelong mission. However, I mean, a lot has changed from now until the time he had started, right? With all the restrictions, the trends, perfumery, the scene, the landscape of perfumery has changed probably several times since he had started. And I imagine there's a lot of pressure on him from the higher ups to create things that will sell more sellable perfumes, which is obviously not his intention, or it's just not him, because we've heard him over the years in interviews speaking. You know, he's almost like a gatekeeper. He felt like a gatekeeper. He felt like a protector of perfume, you know? He felt like he was on the mission, and it was his job to protect the history of perfume, the art of perfume, and just create beautiful things. You know, and with this release, you know, this is a big eye-opener. This is Acne Studios. This is their collaboration with the Swedish fashion brand Acne Studios. And this is just, you know, I've only worn this once. I've got it a little bit on the blotter. this kind of feels like everything that Frederic Malle has been talking, like it goes against everything that he has talked about over the years. And he was a big talker. Like he was a staunch supporter of meaningful perfumes, you know, not smells, just like really beautiful, well done perfumes that have taken lots of time and effort and love and dedication to create. And then when you smell something like this, you're like, it just doesn't feel like a Frederic Malle. It smells like something that almost anybody else could have created, like artificial intelligence, maybe even. It's super sweet, it's super youthful, it's playful, it's young, it's well done. Don't get me wrong, it is really well done. It completely checks all the ticks of what is, you know, the structure, the architecture of this perfume. It matches up all the other Frederic Malle perfumes. It's the theme though, the stickiness, the starchiness, the sweetness that gets me. It is so unlike Frederic Malle. The floral accord is beautiful. I love the florals, the use of florals here: violets, rose, iris, almond. And coincidentally, this, I mean, the timing of this couldn't be more perfect with Chanel's Comète. You know, they share a lot of similarities. Comète is also very powdery. Comète has got sweet. It's got sweetness coming from that almond. But they do share a lot of similarities. I'm actually wearing Comète today, and I love Comète. I absolutely love it. It is absolutely beautiful. It has an amazing trail to it, and that surprised me too as I was going throughout my day, and I was like, damn, this has a beautiful trail. And the trail would catch up to me like a moment or two after I had arrived to my destination, wherever I was going. You know, the trail, it shows up a few moments later. And it's amazing how they built that idea, or that kind of accord of a trail, right into the name of the perfume, Comète. You know, comets have these trails, and it definitely shows up in the perfume. But the acne is much sweeter, way sweeter, much denser, sturdier, thicker. You know, it's more pronounced. It has heft and density. Comète is much lighter and softer and airier. It's a whisper next to acne, but acne is so unlike. It's just so unlike his style. You know, and maybe, I don't know. There's so many things that this could have come from, or that could have led to this. I'm just not sure I'll understand, or if I'm supposed to understand, or if any of us are supposed to understand. The most interesting part about it is how starchy it is. It's quite dry and starchy. Starchy like starch in a can, you know, the ironing starch. When you're ironing like a t-shirt, not a t-shirt, like a dress shirt or something, and you want the collars to hold their shape, you know, you put a little bit of starch on there, and that gives the material that rigidity. Starch will make a fabric rigid, you know, it'll hold up the fibers, and there's a ton of starch in this perfume. Like cornstarch, rice starch, some sort of starch, right? It reminds me of ironing starch. I remember when I was single and I'd be ironing my clothes, getting ready for date. I had all the starches, iron my shirt, starch it up. But the starch here is mixed with, it's sweet. It's super sweet, at least on the first wearing. And I'm sure that the more I discover this, the more I get to learn it, the less sweet it'll be. Like, I'll become more accustomed to the sweetness, the same way I was with Music for a While. Music for a While was overtly sweet, and I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I hate it, and now it's one of my favorite Frederic Malles. So it's so interesting, you know. Frederic has, and I try not to get, like my personal feelings involved, but that's just impossible. Like I can't help it. I'm a human being, and I'm deeply, like I'm aligned with my feelings, so I can't help it. But you know, I've been annoyed quite a few times with some FREDERIC MALLE releases. This is one of them, but you know, even while I'm wearing it, I'm like, oof, I'm not enjoying this at all. I can see with time, right? Being with some patience, that this will eventually grow on me. I've said that so many times. But I don't want it to grow on me. I want it to be love at first sniff. Like if I have to wait to grow on me, it's not the same, you know? Like so many of his releases were love at first sniff. Synthetic Jungle I loved. Rose and Queer I didn't, but it was kind of a love at first sniff. I hated it because it wasn't what I expected it to be, but this is definitely not a love at first sniff. This was like angry confusion at first sniff is what I felt. I felt very confused and almost like I was being led. I felt like I was being led down this weird way. I'm like, do I want to go down? Do I want to know what's next? You know, do I want to go down this pathway? Do I want to see, like, what is next? And we don't know really what's next. I've heard some rumors that the next 2 or 3 releases might still have FREDERIC Malle's name on them. Kind of like what Damashi did when he left Dior. He pumped 3 perfumes out right away, like in a very short time before his departure, before they brought in Kudyan. But apparently, and these are just rumors, I haven't heard anything official, that he's going to have 2 or 3 more releases. One apparently is a Middle Eastern desert gem, so I'm not sure if there's any truth to that, but that's kind of where we're at now. And after, you know, so after his name is clear and there's a new direction, I'm not sure what to expect. Like, are we going to get more crap? Are we going to get, I can't imagine it's going to get better, because this is usually what happens. Brands get washed away. Like nobody will ever love this brand and put as much love into it as Frederic. Like he was there from the very beginning, putting in the blood, the sweat, the tears, the time, the effort, the dedication, you know. And anyone else that comes in after, I just can't imagine that they're going to love it the same way. But and I don't know where I stand, where I'm going to stand. Am I going to continue? I'll pick this up eventually. I don't own this yet. I'm not paying 620 Canadian dollars for a 100ml retail bottle. That's absurd. But when it pops up at a better rate, I'll definitely grab it. Perfume is really expensive, so buying, like still collecting and buying perfumes and having perfumes made for myself is really expensive. So I'm being very cautious with my purchases now, you know, trying to purchase things that are important for me. Not necessarily loves, but they must be at least somewhat important, you know. So we'll see. Like, I certainly hope the best, and I wish the best, and I hope that they continue curating like really beautiful, meaningful perfumes. But I'm skeptical. You know, we've seen what happened. Like, look what happened when Guerlain sold to their, you know, their brand. Rich Mitch had asked me just yesterday, he's like, what would you do, like, if you come to this position where a conglomerate comes and offers you tons and tons and tons of money for Les Abs, like, what would you do? And I thought about this because it's a good question. And I put myself in Frederick's shoes, and I thought, you know, Frederic Malle, he has children, and I'm sure he had a conversation with them, asking them if they were interested in taking over the brand, because that's usually what happens. Children take over, family takes over the brand. That's what happened with Get Alone. after AIM, Jean-Paul Guédelon, or Jacques Guédelon took over, and then it was Jean-Paul, and then it was, after Jean-Paul, the family member, the son, no longer wanted to do perfuming. I think his name is Paul Guédelon. He didn't want to study perfuming. He wanted to go to law school. So the lineage would have ended there, and they decided to sell the brand. And Rich asked me, what would you do? And I thought, I would talk to my kids, and if they had a passion for it, if that's something that they were interested, I would be like, here, take it over. It's yours. Enjoy, be creative. Create something that you love. And if not, if they weren't interested, which is okay, if they had their own avenue or their own path or their own journey, that they were doing something that they love, I would do the same. I would do something very similar. All of that money coming in, it could help the brand, pumping money in there as far as like ideas. Ideas are very expensive to execute, so a lot of that money would be it would come in great. But otherwise, what do you do with a brand when you're getting old and somebody's really impatient? I can't stand that. Bro, go meditate. Go meditate. But what do you do if you just leave the brand? The brand just, it would die. It would destruct itself. So I think that is kind of like the best thing, is to give it to somebody that will, I'm not sure Estee Lauder's the best thing, but I mean, somebody that's going to continue to carry it at the same level that you were developing it as, right? You want somebody to carry it over and keep the legacy and keep it alive and keep it going, considering how much work and effort you had put into it. I need new springs. Did you hear my springs? Well, yeah, it is it's going to be an interesting time. The next release, the next 2 releases, the next 3 releases are going to be, very evident of where the brand is going, what we can expect of them, and it'll show a lot. But overall, I mean, it's not a bad fragrance by any means. It's not a bad fragrance. It's just not, it's not what I want to wear. Like, I think it's really well made. It's interesting, but the sweetness really, 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 really is overloaded. Sweet, 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 sweet. Musky. It's quite musky and floral. It has a lot of the same attributes as BR540, I find. It's much heavier and denser than BR540. I imagine that Estee came to him and said, start making something that's going to sell. Make us a version of BR540. And Frederic was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. This is probably the closest, right, that he can come to making a BR540 without getting called out on it. It's not exactly a BR540, but it's not far by any means either. It's not far. It's not a FREDERIC Malle either. At least right now. To me, it doesn't feel like it feels like a FREDERIC Malle, but the architecture of the perfume, it feels like the FREDERIC Malle, but the spirit of it feels like accounting. That's what it feels like. It feels like a big accounting job. All right, I'm gonna let her rip. I'm here at the gym, and I'm just gonna hang with you guys. I'm not sure what else I'm gonna talk about, but it feels like there's a huge slug of tonka bean in the base of this. Something very sticky, goopy, sweet, sucrose. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for something very specific. Very, very specific. I'd do anything to be a fly in the wall in that Estee Lauder meeting or a phone call. But I hope Freddie's doing all right. I hope, like, for his sake, that nothing happened in a way where he was forced or felt like he had to step down. I hope for his sake that everything was like the way he wanted it to be. But I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine you walking away from something that you love so much. I'm sure the art direction had a lot to do with it, where the world of perfume was going. Or maybe he had other dreams. Like he's got a sense for fashion. He's got a sense for design, for style. I have a feeling that he's going to open a furniture brand. He's going to start designing furniture. He's very much into his furniture. You can see by his boutiques, they're all independently designed. They're all different from each other. I don't think there's any two Frederic Malle boutiques that are the same. They're all designed. They all have like this swanky furniture, swanky chairs. You know, it's all very nouveau. He's got a very distinct style. Bauhaus. I think it's a Bauhaus style. But there's pictures and interviews online of his house and stuff you can go see. So I think he's going to go do furniture. I think he's going to get into furniture. I don't think he's done. He's still very young. He's got a lot of time. He's an intelligent man. I'm sure he has more aspirations and goals and dreams, and I don't think he's going to come back and do any more perfume, like to start another perfume brand. I don't see it. I think if he was going to do perfume, he would have kept up with his own brand. But wherever he goes, I wish him the best of luck. I hope him all the success in the world. He's been a huge inspiration for me. Like, he's one of a kind in this place where there was nobody else to kind of lead us. There was Frederic. We can always kind of count on Frederic Malle to. I felt like he's stood beside us, like right next to us through all of this. You know, as hardcore perfumistas that love poetic and enchanting perfumes, things that are outside of the norm, the comfort zone. And it just felt like he's always been with us, like a friend, somebody that we talk to. The same way we talk about fragrances, he can also very often be heard saying similar things, like the state of perfumery, the trends, the copycats, the artistry, the passion. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, and I'm grateful to be here. Acne Studios or not, I'm grateful for Frederic Malle. I'm grateful for all the perfumes he put out. Mostly what I'm grateful for is that I've been here. Like, I was alive for the time where he was creating at the same time. You know, that's the best part. Because 20, 30, 40 years from now, there's going to be a whole new face in this perfume community, and people are going to be oohing and awing and going, oh my God, like Frederic Malle is so amazing. I wish I was there for that. And you know what? If you're watching this right now live, like, we got to experience this live firsthand. Can you imagine how great it would be to be there while Jacques Guerlain was releasing Vol de Nuit and Mitsuko and Shalimar, right? How amazing would that have been? This is just the same, right? We all talk about Jacques Guerlain's legacy and Aim Guerlain. This is very much the same. So I feel like we're blessed in that sense, if you're a perfume fan, to come up growing with Frederic Malle. It's kind of a gift. It's a beautiful gift. I always spark one up before I go into the gym. It relaxes me, and it always allows me to exert myself more. It takes away the fear, you know, the doubt, the self-doubt. You just get the doubt, just vanishes into consciousness. It's amazing. It's really amazing. The first time I wore this, it feels very boxy. Very much like Acne's clothing. Acne's clothing, it looks like it's like baggy. It doesn't look like, I don't know, I haven't looked at it, but just from the very few things that I've looked at, I'll go back and look again, but this feels like what their clothing would fit like. This is very baggy. It's hefty. You know, it's a big cut. It's a big cut of fabric. There's a lot of perfume here. A lot of perfume. Like there's a lot of, it covers a lot of this, you know, it's very heavy. But my thing is with a lot of modern designers, especially that are chic, is their fits. The textures and the cuts for me don't work as a taller guy. I find the material is very thick. You know, I like more the soft cottons instead of the hard textured. It's very uncomfortable. And this also feels like if I were to put on this piece of Acne clothing, that being as tall as I am, the t-shirt would be too short and it would leave my belly button exposed. You know, that's how I feel wearing the perfume because of how sweet it is. I feel like I'm walking around with a t-shirt it's too short and my belly button is exposed. That's something I'm gonna have to get used to. Not exposing my belly button, but getting comfortable with this perfume. But I wonder if they do bring somebody in, will it be a recognizable face? Will it be somebody we know? Will it be somebody inside the industry? I was talking to Rich and he kind of made it, he said it might be a fashion designer, like let's say like a Karl Lagerfeld type. A smaller version of Karl Lagerfeld. Maybe Hedy. That'd be interesting, Hedy. However, I always thought Hedy was more about fashion than just perfume. Unless he wanted like a change of scenery. Maybe it might be one of you guys. You never know. One of you guys might be doing it. How awesome would that be? I wonder if they'll go for an influencer, considering that they're now working with influencers. Maybe it's Acne. Maybe it's not Frederic. Well, I heard they're working with influencers. I didn't straight up see anything, but maybe it's Acne working with influencers, not Frederic straight up. I don't know. I got to look into that as well. Who's working with the influencers? Acne or Frederic? Ooh, these are very piney. They're pine tar. It feels like pine tar, and it hits right in the back of the throat, eh? And it sinks its hooks. That tar sinks its hooks right into the back of your throat, and it's really dry, raspy. But yeah, that's my thoughts. 30-minute thoughts. It's been a while since I've done this, actually, so it was good. It was good to talk about perfume, though. I'm always thinking about perfume. I just don't talk about it. I just keep my thoughts to myself. I do actually record a lot of content. I just don't upload it. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Much like I think this is stupid, I'm not going to upload it, so I leave it. But yeah, you know what? I'm in Comet, and I really like this. I love the powderiness. I love the almond. It's suave, and it does remind me of Misia, and I like Misia a lot. This does remind me of Misia, and I've read reviews of people saying, no, this doesn't smell like Misia at all. Well, if it doesn't smell like Misia, why are you saying it? Like, why are you digging for Misia? I always thought that myself, like if two perfumes had smelled alike or similar, like if I'm smelling something for the first time and be like, oh yeah, this doesn't remind me of such and such. I'm like, that's such a stupid statement. Because why would you make it? Like, why did that other perfume even come up in your mind? Why are you comparing it to that? You know? Unless somebody had asked you. But if it's a thought in your own head. Because when I first put on Comet, my thought was, oh, the almonds and the heliotrope from Boy, and the powdery pastel-y violets from Misia. My first thoughts. Not that it smells identical, but you know, Chanel's known for that. There's so many of their perfumes weave in and out of each other. And Olivier has done both Boy and Misia. So I'm not surprised, you know, not surprised. But I mean, this smells as much as Misia smells as Boy, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry too much. But the powdery accord in this is so beautiful. It's so classically Chanel. It's everything Chanel has ever stood for. That powdery, waxy, lipsticky, pastel-y accord with some vanilla, a little bit of vanilla. But when it all hits, when it all warms up, it is literally, it feels like golden rays of sunshine hitting your face. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is worth what the hell is it now? It used to be 550 Canadian dollars for 200 ml. I think it's 620 now, which I think is also the 100 ml of Frederic Malle is 620 Canadian. I gotta double check that, but I think that's what 200 ml of Chanel Les Exclusive is. 620. Used to be 550, but I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, I'm in love with this. Soft, powdery, elegant, balmy. It's so classic. It feels like Guerlain's Meteorites. You know, those Meteorites is a perfume. This kind of takes me into that territory. It's not an original for sure. This is not an original perfume. Like, we've smelt this before. Gucci's Virgin Violet kind of comes to mind. That soft, powdery muskiness. What else? Meteorites. I'm sure there's more. Really lovely. Aldehydes are soft, they're not too sharp. I'm gonna go inside, have a good workout now. Today's legs day. Today's my favorite day, legs. And I love legs because I get to move a lot of blood. Legs move a lot of blood. I think that's the goal, is to move a lot of blood, because the blood is healing. The blood is what heals. The blood is what grows new muscles. And when you hit legs and when you hit them hard, you move a lot of blood. And I know that because my sleep is always the best after leg day. I'm always the hungriest after leg day. My T goes up after leg day. I'm always the horniest, like after leg day. The night of leg day, I'm super horny. There's just something magical about leg day. Leg day, it's all leg day, man. So one day of legs isn't enough for me, because yesterday I did squats, and today I'm gonna go hit some more legs. So I'm gonna have to warm up really good first. And then tomorrow I'll probably hit some different parts of legs. But legs is the best. Legs is where it's at. So I'm gonna go in, finish this, have a good workout, maybe do a bit of cardio, and then go to work. And that's my day. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon. If you're still here watching, thank you. Bye, guys.